Hi guys and welcome to Bomb Anime.
It's your girl Ruka.
And Big Boy Summer here bringing you our part 2 on our Hot or Not on Mars Red.
So when we did our part 1, we both said not across every single category. So let's see how it's fared now that we've watched the entire thing.
This show had a lot of references to literary classics. So you had Oscar Wilde and Shakespeare intertwining. You had old ancient Greek tomes as well, such as the Odyssey and whatnot, that was going throughout the whole show. I personally think that the Princess of Salome was a rip-off of Romeo and Juliet, but that's a personal opinion. But you can't deny that the passage that they used was basically a rewritten version of the "but soft what light through yonder window breaks" from Romeo and Juliet, where Juliet was trying to understand her feelings for Romeo. And yes, the love interest throughout the whole show mirrored that and showed the tragedies of love between what should be called forbidden love, if it's the battle of two families in Romeo and Juliet, if it's a princess and a pauper, if it's a vampire and a human, and so on and so forth. Saying that, I feel like this anime messed up the classics. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of Shakespeare personally. I think Ruka will also agree that Shakespeare is kind of like overrated personally, but we're not trying to start literary beef here. We just want to start anime beef, obviously. But Mars Red took big things, and personally, I feel they made it small. They didn't address the wider political landscape as I thought they would. They didn't address the reasons and the motivations behind their characters like I thought they would. The plot was so predictable that literally I was calling what was happening 2 minutes before it happened. And in terms of world building, graphics aside, that's all they focused on. When they had, as I said, literary giants, historical facts, and a what-if scenario that should have been a banger. Ruka, what do you think?
Oh no! You said everything there is to say about this anime in like 2 minutes! No, okay. So, I had literally no surprises in this entire plot?
Yeah, exactly. Question it, because I don't get it.
First of all, this is a little pet gripe I had with this anime. Why do all the girls look the same? Any girl that had like that brown hair, they all look the same eyes, almost the same face shape, like just everything. It was hard to know who was who at times until someone was like, oh, Mikasa. And then I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'm having to catch up on who it is that we're talking about, which kind of took away from me being able to watch it properly. Also, I thought that it was really dumb that the military was accepting a gift from England, because gifts from the West come with mandatory surprise anal with no lube. So I thought that was a choice.
From the West. It was from England. Look, we are English.
I mean,
we know what England's like. Yo, here's a gift. It's not really a gift.
Back then, as well,
Bruv, you already know the score.
Also, Tenmaya's reason for helping the vampires was so crude, if you ask me. I mean, someone who helped raise you and cared about you, gave up their life for seemingly no reason, because that fall wouldn't have killed you. But, okay, he gave his life for you because he knows you. It's like a family member giving their life for you, so you're gonna help everyone with pink stickers. The person you know saved you, so I'm gonna help every vampire.
I know this phenomenon. I don't agree with this phenomenon, but I know this phenomenon as a black man. I constantly, when I was single, I don't do black guys from various white ladies. And then my follow-up question is normally, why? And then they go, a black guy hurt my feelings once, or they cheated on me. And it's that one or two particular people did that. However, they blanketed the whole of us as the bad guys. However, when I further ask, what, has no white guy ever done anything wrong to you? They respond like, yeah, but so it was basically an allegory for racism.
Well, either way, who questions someone for not wanting to engage? Okay, if someone comes up to me and they say, oh, let's go on a date, and I'm like, oh, I don't go on dates with guys that wear jumpers. I don't expect to be questioned. This is not an interrogation. I just rejected you. Goodbye. Now we both move to the next person. This conversation is more interesting than the anime, and I'm afraid we might stay on it. So should we should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. But as I said, I understand this. I understand that this phenomenon exists where you blanket everyone of that type as something because of a few good apples or a few bad apples. And it's not, I don't believe it's correct, but I know it's the way of the world in certain instances. In saying that, they could have picked a better situation. Do you get what I mean? It could have been a life or death situation. It shouldn't have been, I'm about to fall out of a tree, like every other kid, every time, throughout time, except for this time because everyone's on their computers. Back then, when people used to climb trees, people fell out of trees, broke their leg and carried on. You got sun roasted for that.
So, this anime, like you said, used a lot of quotes from, well, not really a lot. It kind of seemed like they recycled the same 4.
Yes.
And they just kept going on and on and on with the same line. Anyway.
Technically they're stanzas, but okay.
It felt as if they were using it to kind of give the anime a little bit more sophistication, you know, also having the slow moving anime, the music and stuff. But it just felt like a really old ass, boring ass, old ass movie. Like Ben-Hur or something.
I knew you were going to say Ben-Hur.
Seriously.
I knew you were going to say that.
I have been forced to watch that movie from
so many
grandparents. Like, please, I can't watch it any longer. I'm literally dying of boredom. It just made it even more boring. Like,
No, I agree with Ruka here. Like, look, you tried to inject sophistication and it fell off. The only sophisticated thing here was Rufus. And even you called him the King of Fools. You didn't allow the audience to make up their own minds about certain things because you gave it to them. The comparison I made between Romeo and Juliet and the Princess of Salome was given to us because they couldn't help themselves. I'm trying to be sophisticated, but I'm going to spoon feed the whole audience and belittle their intelligence. And I don't like it when anime does that. Let us create our own theories and our own conclusions about it. And if we feel that we need to explore it further, we will rewatch it. How many anime have you got in your watch list that you rewatch because you discover something new every single time? I watch this thinking I've got everything. There is absolutely nothing for me to rediscover here. There's no rewatchability. There's basically questions that weren't answered that I now don't give a crap about.
You're so right. They spoon-fed you the entire way and they forced you to think only one way. I mean, they kept constantly saying, it's so hard for vampires. Being a vampire is so much harder than being a human. Vampires get super depressed because they live for such a long time. Like, seriously, how many times do you have to tell me that vampires can't go out in the sun? This is not the first media I've read, watched, seen on vampires. There is so much stuff on vampires for so many years. You don't need to tell us the most basic of things, such as the vampire can't go out in the sun 8 times an episode.
On top of that, why is it called Mars Red? That title made 0 sense to me. What? Because there was a record playing Mars Records. It didn't even have Mars Red in it. What? Why? Just why? I
also didn't get Rufus's character because I saw everything that he was doing, but I don't actually know why he was doing it, and I feel like maybe I missed it. Did I take a sip of my drink and I missed the reason, or like, did I cough and I just missed the whole thing? I don't understand why he was doing anything that he was doing, and because of that, it made the impact of his character worthless.
Another worthless character was Defrot.
Oh my god. Now, why was he there? I
was rooting for Defrot from the moment I saw him. I thought he was going to be a banging character. It was obvious from the get-go he was a vampire. Everyone knew he was a vampire from get-go. And so we're all like, okay, cool. This guy is a noble vampire of some sort, or a higher vampire or something. You know, whatever they want to call it in whatever medium. They chose noble here. Okay, cool. And he's got the power of Sharingan and Genjutsu. Where the hell was this the whole time?
Why was he just sitting there in a ball, covered in a cloak, sitting on the floor, while everything turned to shit instead of helping?
Like, he wants the world to be beautiful. Okay, so make it so. But instead, he didn't. And on top of that, he liked young girls for some reason. And that's cool, whatever, anime innit. but there was no reason for him to like them. They offered you food, you came off standoffish. They kept persisting, you didn't eat them and kill them. You're a vampire, mate. You betrayed your whole natural urges as the creature that you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be the king or god of whatever you are when you're a vampire. You don't care about feelings. You don't have them kind of emotion, especially when you've lived that long. So why go on, fam? Everyone's character here, except for, I guess, Misaki, who died in episode 1, that one. Made no sense to me. Misaki made sense to me. Maida might be the second closest that made sense-ish. But Misaki made sense. And because she was short-lived, you knew exactly what she was, and then she died. That was great. Great writing there. I guess you can only handle short bursts, guys.
I'm ready for the verdict. I'm ready for the verdict. I'm ready. What do you think of it? What is it?
Me.
Is it hot or is it a waste of time? Tell me. Tell me I'm ready. I'm ready.
This was a total waste of my time. I do not recommend, do not watch this anime.
It was a waste of time. It was truly a waste of time. It was boring. It was a retelling of already boring things. And it was boring. Do not watch. Avoid. I knew it was an avoid from the very first episode. It was just obviously going to be and it lived up to its expectations, so I guess it did one thing correct. Bravo.
Hold on, guys.
You did it.
Look, you've watched us for about a year now, a little bit longer, and you must realize that for something to get a knot across the board, it's very difficult for both of us. Because
every category.
I know, right? Because on any given day, one of us is feeling generous more than the other. We're giving a hot for something. Your plot you stole from tragedies of ancient past. Your creativity, where was that? It's because that was your plot.
Your color palette was shit.
Your graphics was terrible when you introduced the new Vampire Squad. That
Even
was
the
horrible.
scenery was horrible.
What world building did you do? You just ripped off something.
What character development did we get?
What character? Yeah, bruv.
Seriously.
No, Misaki.
Get him up, let him get up, let him get up, let him get up.
The lore on vampires that you used was basic and boring.
This was effed up. And then you got the character that you already knew had genjutsu, only used it once.
And then the vampires only chose to use their super speed randomly and never when it was actually needed. Rufus had no motivations for doing anything that he was doing. Oh, I want to be the king of the vampires, but like, what the heck was this?
Okay, actually, I backtrack. Takeuchi was actually sick. He was my favorite character.
Okay, yeah, I liked him.
Yeah, let's.
I did like him.
Let's not just.
But he was hardly there.
He was hardly there. He wasn't given any openings. He was not given any reign to do what he actually wanted to do.
Also, Rufus should have been an excellent character, but instead he actually was misused and ended up terrible because we had no idea why he was doing what he was doing. The reason we were given was too loose and too pathetic, and we didn't actually get any information on the relationship between him and Deferatu. It was supposed to be a big thing. It was like an overarching thing through the whole thing, and we don't even know why they knew each other or why they don't like each other.
From a lore standpoint, give me the mens rea. Don't just bombard me with actus reus. Jesus, it's not hard.
In conclusion, this sucked. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
And if you made it this far, thank you so much. But don't make it this far with Mars Red.
Peace.